another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate if you jump on here live here on this Wednesday evening. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Down below, make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Not only is it a Wednesday, it's also October the 1st, which means it's time for our first weekly Top 10 countdown in the month of October. I thought about doing another Halloween countdown this week, and I decided, you know what? Let's talk college football, more specifically the QBR, because I was thinking, you look back before the season started at the Heisman contenders, which I still say the Heisman's a joke, and if they got rid of it tomorrow, I'd have no issue with it. But so many people still love the Heisman and follow it all year long, and there's been, a couple years here recently that the Heisman's pretty much been decided by the 1st of October, because Lamar Jackson or Cam Ward or Travis Hunt or whoever it is will go out there in the first month of the season and have 4 or 5 really spectacular moments and 1 or 2 spectacular games, and the media hypes them up, and it's done with. Well, Cade Klubnik should have never even been considered for the Heisman. Whoever thought he was good enough for the Heisman should be stripped of any kind of voting or anything when it comes to college football, because you know nothing about the sport if you think Cade Klubnik is even a Heisman contender, because he's not. But, he was on the list. And Arch Manning, just because his last name is Manning, he's on the list. Hey there, I'm going to hope that's pronounced Magali. If not, I apologize, but glad to have you here. Hey there, Michaela. Glad to have you here. Arch Manning's on the list because his last name is Manning. Hey there, Jose. Glad to have you here. And none of those guys have been good so far. And then you look at Garrett Nussmeier, and Garrett Nussmeier last year was great. This year, he's been the opposite. How he's regressed so bad, so fast, I don't know. A lot of folks are saying that he's injured, and Brian Kelly won't say it. I don't know. But I know that none of the people that were supposed to be Heisman contenders have been close to being Heisman contenders. And I thought John Mateer had a pretty good shot, and now he's out hurt. If he's out for a while, he's not going to win it. Hey there, Yellow. Glad to have you here. Sammy, glad to have you here. Darren, glad to have you here. I'm doing fantastic, Michaela. Thank you for asking. I hope you enjoy the video. If it's your first time being here, whatever reason made you stop by the channel tonight, thank you for stopping by. Please, if you have not subscribed, do so, and tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. Give it a like. Give it a thumbs up. Hey there, Nicholas. Glad to have you here. No, Nicholas, I have never watched Breaking. I'm assuming that you mean bad because you used an F. I've never heard of Breaking Bath, so I'm going to assume that you mean Breaking Bad, and I have not watched it. I'm not a TV viewer. Hey there, Louise. Glad to have you here. And Splashy, glad to have you here. And TM, glad to have you here. It's going fantastic, TM. Thank you for asking. So it got me to thinking, since the Heisman is pretty much a quarterback award. Hey there, Zach. Glad to have you here. That I would look at QBR, because QBR is pretty much what all the NFL scouts look at when it comes to quarterbacks nowadays. No, TM, I'm not from Australia. Never been to Australia. No, Jacob, I'll go back and watch it later. I like to watch it when it re-airs so that I can only watch highlights or fast forward through commercials, because there's so much of Dynamite that's not worth watching. But I will watch it, or at least the highlights of it, at some point in time. AEW a 2 hour broadcast, and about 40 minutes of it's worth watching, and the rest is not. And I've always been a Clemson fan, Zach, so I'm glad you noticed all the orange in the background. This is not a Clemson channel, but I'm a Clemson fan, and I'm not scared to show that, so I'm glad you noticed all the Clemson orange in the background, because I'll show my team spirit any day and all year long. But QBR is the main focus of NFL scouts because it's really the only stat that's basically on the quarterback. And what I mean by that is, hey there, Kevron, glad to have you here. Thanks for stopping by the channel, as always. Because, a quarterback can throw an incomplete pass, but if you just see that in the stat, you just know, okay, incomplete. But it may have been that the quarterback threw it right on the money and the receiver dropped it. It may have been that the quarterback threw it right on the money and the receiver ran the wrong way. If he throws a pick, all you see is a pick. But in reality, you didn't know that he threw it right on the money and the receiver dropped it and it went up in the air and it was picked. So that's a pick in the stat book, on the stat sheet, but it's not a pick that the quarterback threw because he threw a bad pass. And Darren, you are right. All of us Tigers should stick together. I'm a Clemson fan, Darren, but this is not a Clemson channel. And I don't really comment a whole lot on any of the Clemson social media sites because those things, man, they drive you crazy. You have the negative fans that claim they're fans of the team, but yet everything is bad. And then you have the positive fans that if you say anything that's not positive, you're not a real fan. So it's hard to be a realist and comment on any social media page of any team. And I'm a realist. And even though you like the Richmond Tigers, which I thought they were the Richmond Spiders, so I guess you're not talking about college sports, but it's glad to have you here, nonetheless. And hey there, Red Apple, good to have you here. But QBR is the stat that basically tells you how good the quarterback's playing, because like if he gets sacked because the offensive line got beat, that's not really going to affect the quarterback. But if he stands back there and has 7 seconds to throw and still gets sacked, that's on the quarterback. If he throws a bad pass, then your QBR drops. If you throw a pass that's right on the money and the receiver just drops it, your QBR really doesn't move much. So I thought, you know what, we'll look at this to see if any of these quarterbacks, since we're now in October, we played already a quarter of the season, look on the QBR list to see if any of these quarterbacks have a shot of winning the Heisman based on their current QBR. You're from Australia. Well, Darren, tell your friends, tell your family over in Australia about the channel. And I believe, I'm not mistaken, Darren, I remember you saying last week that you were a Richmond Spiders fan, but I get so many comments and I don't write this stuff down that it's hard to keep up with. And that's why I tell the logical people on here, if you're on Facebook, message me on there, because once I get to know you, I generally remember who you are. But if you just come on here and comment on occasion, I'm going to forget, because not only is there just so many people on here, but also, as a professional wrestling referee, I see a tons of people. Working with the public like I do, I see a ton of people. Doing high school football on the radio, I see a ton of people. And then going to church, I see a ton of people. So I see people all day, every day. So it's just impossible to keep up with everybody. Hey there, the train man. Glad to have you here. But top 10 QBR as of right now. Number 10, Chandler Morris, 85.7. Of course, he plays for Virginia. Number 9, DeMond Williams Jr. for Washington is exactly 87. Number 8, we have Liam Zarka, Air Force, 87.2. Taylon Green of Arkansas, 87.6. And then we have a tie. I guess you can call it a tie for sixth, tie for fifth, ever how you want to say it. But Taylor Green is tied with Brendan Sorsby and Trinidad Chambliss. So 3 quarterbacks are tied at number 7, number 6, number 5, ever how you want to say it. Number 4, Gunnar Stockton, 88.1. Number 3 and number 2 is also a tie. We have Vanderbilt's Diego Pavia and Notre Dame's CJ Carr. They're both at 88.4. And number 1 right now is USC quarterback Jaden Mayaba. Is it a surprise that another Lincoln Riley quarterback would be number 1 in the country in any stat? I know a lot of people don't like Lincoln Riley, but one thing's for sure, he can make a great quarterback an elite quarterback. He can make a good quarterback a great quarterback. He can make an average quarterback a good quarterback. And you can look at his track record and see that he does that pretty much on a year in, year out basis. And that's pretty much how you know that there's no hope for Miller Moss, because every quarterback that Lincoln Riley gets better. And the fact that Miller Moss transferred tells you that he pretty much had no hope. But he'll end up having a good season because Brian Brom is a fantastic head coach. But Miller Moss can throw about 12 yards, and that's it. Any thoughts on any of this? Please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What's the difference between black-eyed peas and chickpeas? Black-eyed peas can sing us a song. Chickpeas can only hum us one. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.